So, good morning, students. So, today we have to talk about activity selection problem, and it can be dealt with the two, approaches: dynamic approach and greedy approach. But here we are going to deal it with the greedy approach. And this picture we have I have used to just indicate the greediness. So you can see the ladies, busy in collecting the money, and all, like, how much money she can collect. So the greedy approach is something like this. So the outlines of the lectures, today's discussion will be greedy approach, and then activity selection problem. We have to discuss the fundamental parts of greedy selection problem, and then we have to discuss two approaches, for solving the activity selection problem, that is iterative approach and recursive approach. And then in the end we'll talk about the time complexity of these approaches. So if you look at the how we define the greedy approach. So when we talk about greedy approach, we always look for the local optimum, local based, right? For example, सपोज दैट आप कोई एग्जाम की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं, और आपको कोई सपोज दैट बैंकिंग की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं, बट यू आर हैविंग हाई कैलिबर. अब बैंक में अगर आपको क्लर्क की जॉब मिल गई तो आप ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं, बट मे बी अगर आप ना ज्वाइन करें, थोड़ा और आगे एफर्ट दे, तो हो सकता है आप आईएएस या आईपीएस बन सकते हैं. So something like, sometimes greedy approach ensures you are going to get the optimal value, or maybe optimal benefit, and sometimes it is not. It is not necessary. It is not necessary. लेकिन कुछ एल्गोरिथम्स ऐसी होती हैं, कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स ऐसी होती हैं जो ग्रीडी अप्रोच को फेवर करती हैं, तो उस केस में डेफिनेटली यू विल गेट द ऑप्टिमल बेनिफिट. Now look at the definition. A greedy algorithm always makes the choice that looks best at the moment. So किसी particular moment पे whatever the option you are having, if you are looking that it is better for you, so you go for it. And that is, it makes a locally optimal choice in the hope that this choice will lead to a globally optimal solution. So I hope it is very clear. Whenever we look for the to take a step which seems locally based, and we are hoping that in the future it is going to give us the optimal solution, optimal value. So this is the basic philosophy behind greedy approach, and there are many algorithms which are based on greedy approach. That is Prim's algorithm, Kruskal algorithm, fractional knapsack problem, and there are many more. Traveling salesman problem, kind of approaches are there which are based on. Kind of problems are there which are based on greedy approach. And I hope you are aware what we do in Prim and Kruskal algorithm. It is basically for finding the minimum spanning tree, and fractional knapsack problem is for profit maximization. So these are the problems which are based on greedy approach. Now in this particular talk, we are going to discuss about activity selection problem. So let me talk about how it works. So suppose that it is very similar to, suppose that we are having a uniprocessor system, and we have to execute many activities, many let's say programs. Then what we can do, we have to execute program one by one. For example, let me tell you. Suppose that this is your processor. This is your processor P1. Maybe we can say it like processor P. This is processor P, and programs are, let's P1, P2, P3, P4, and so on. So if you are going to schedule them for execution, so you can schedule one by one. After completing a P1, then we can schedule P2, completing a P2, then P3, and so on, like this. So that means only one program can be scheduled at a time. So what we are going to do in this particular activity selection problem, we are going to schedule maximum activities considering their starting time frame and finishing time frame. I mean, starting time and finishing time. So uh, suppose that these are the activities given, shown in the table: A1, A2, A3, AN, and this S1, F1, S2, F2 indicates the start time and finishing time of the activities. So let's here we can say uh, S indicates the start time and F indicates the finish time of the activity. It is indicated here, start time and finish time, and we have to find out the condition that when two activities are compatible. And of course, uh, suppose that this is a lecture hall. This is a lecture hall where we have to schedule these activities, and only one activity can be scheduled at a time. Only one activity can be scheduled at a time. So if the activities are having their overlapping area in terms of their starting time and finishing time, then definitely we cannot schedule. We cannot schedule. Suppose that here it is S1 and F1 for activity A1, and this is S2 starting time and finishing time for activity A2, and this is indicating the time frame, timeline. This is indicating the timeline. So can we schedule these two activities, A1 and A2? We cannot schedule because let's A2, A1 is finishing here and S2 is beginning, before finishing the A1, and the objective is among all these A1, A2 till AN activities, we have to complete the maximum activities in this lecture hall considering their starting time and finishing time. So suppose that there are two activities, AI and AJ. AI, there is activity AI and its finishing time is SI, start time is SI and finishing time is FI. Now we have some conditions are on their start time and finishing time also, because start time cannot be greater than finishing time. So let's see here, SI is less than FI and it will be less than infinity, because if finishing time is tending to infinity, then activity will never finish, so it will be less than infinity, and activity can start at time 0 or maybe after that, so it can be greater than or equal to 0. Similarly, if we have the activity AJ and starting time is SJ and finishing time is FJ, so same condition is applying on this activity also, like Sj is greater than or equal to 0, less than Fj, and it will be lesser than infinity. And if we are going to indicate these activities in terms of, let's their starting time and finishing time, so we can write it like let's for AI it will be something like start from SI and finishing it FI, and here we are going to have open interval, because fractional so that just immediately after completing the AI, we can start another activity, maybe AJ, or maybe in any number, let's say A2, A3, and all. So here AJ, we can have the boundaries like SJ and FJ. Now we have to check that whether these two activities are compatible or not. That means whether we can schedule in this lecture hall or not. I mean, these both activities can be scheduled in the lecture hall or not. So let me tell you the condition. So condition can be something like, uh, if Si is greater than or is equal to Fi. Let's condition 1. Condition 2, reverse of it. Sj is greater than or is equal to, sorry, here little bit correction. Sj, and here it is Fi. Si, Fj, Sj, Fi. If we have the condition like this, then let us check whether these activities will be compatible or not. So suppose that this is our timeline. This is our timeline. Let's indicating the timeline, and starting from maybe some time 0. And if we are going to consider this activity Si, Si is greater than or equal to Fj. So that means Sj also will be smaller than Si. Sj also will be smaller than Si. So that means here we can schedule the activity Aj, and let's starting time is Sj, and then after some here Fj, it is finished. Now you can see Si is greater than Fj, so you can select the next activity, maybe starting from Si here, and it will finish somewhere here, and it is Ai. And if we look at the condition 2, once again it is indicating the timeline. So here Sj is greater than or equal to Fi. Sj is greater than or equal to Fi. So that means Si will also be smaller than Sj. So here we are able to schedule the activity Ai, and then after that Aj. So the conclusion is, if the activities are satisfying the condition, either condition 1 or condition 2, any one of the condition, then we can say that these activities are compatible and it can be scheduled in the lecture hall. So the activity selection problem is to select a maximum size subset of mutually compatible activities. So set is indicating the these set of activities like A1, A2, and so on. And here compatible maximum size subset of mutually compatible activities. So let's subset is something, maybe after checking the conditions and all, we are able to schedule something, activities like let's say 7, and let's say an-1. So 4 activities maybe we are able to schedule. So it will be clear when we are going to discuss it with the help of example. So I hope it is clear. Now this table shows the let's set of activities and their starting time and finishing time. And this algorithm is basically, it is a iterative algorithm. You can see for loop and all. So it is based on, you know, iterative approach, iterative algorithm. Yeah, it is indicated here only, indicated. And what we are going to do, we have to find out the maximum activities which can be scheduled. So here you can tell the name of the activities, like it is A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, and like this, like this. Now what we have to do, we have to find out how many maximum activities can be scheduled. So we have to find out the optimal subset. Let's optimal subset. So can you tell me how many activities we can schedule? So you have to look for starting time and finishing time of the activity. So definitely, let's its timeline is something like starting from 0 to, and maybe finishing time of the last activity, that is 14, and it can be go beyond that also till infinity. So here we are having only 11 activities, so we have to think in terms of, you know, 0 to 14 only. So look at here, very first activity, it can be scheduled. This activity A1, it can be scheduled, it can be, it can be scheduled. Just 1 minute. It can be scheduled because we are not having any activities running here, you know, in the lecture hall. So it is free, so A1 can be scheduled. Now it will finish at timeline, I mean at time 4, it will finish at 4. So next activity, the one we can schedule, it should begin either equal to either at this point or after this point. So look at the next activity which is having starting time after this 4 are equal to 4. So you can see this is the activity which are, you know, starting after this very first activity. I mean this after activity A1. So after A1 we can schedule this A4. So A1 we can schedule, and then A4. Now look at the finishing time of A4, 7. So next activity, the one we can schedule, it should begin either you know, from 7 or after 7. So look at here, either A8 or A9 we can schedule. So let me we are going to schedule this one. So A8 can be scheduled, and after finishing A8, after, you know, finishing time is 11, you can schedule the next activity, and that can be A11, because A9 and A10 cannot be scheduled. Their finishing time is 8 and 2. So here A11 can be scheduled. A11 can be scheduled. So if you are going to find out the maximum activities which can be scheduled, that are A1, A4, A8, and A11. There may be other solutions also. Suppose that you are not willing to schedule this one A1 first. You can see that A3 is starting first. A3 is starting first because its starting time is 0. Its starting time is 0. So maybe you are interested to uh, schedule the activities which are going to begin first. So if you are going to schedule A3, so let's say it is going to another set, another suboptimal set, and maybe it is A3, and then after finishing A3, finishing time is 6. Next activity can be A7, next activity can be A7, and finishing time is 10. So next activity can be A11. This is another solution, but of course you can see that this is not the optimal solution, because here we are able to schedule only 3 activities, and but here it is 4. So in terms of number of activities, this one is the better solution. Now one very important thing, we have to talk about the prerequisite for applying this iterative approach for activity selection. So prerequisite is whatever the activities we are having, whatever the set of activities we are having along with their starting time and finishing time, what we have to do, we have to, let's mention it, prerequisite prerequisite for applying the prerequisite for applying this iterative approach for selecting the activities. So what we have to do, activities must be sorted in monotonically increasing order. Sorted in Must be sorted in monotonically increasing order of their finishing time. Their finishing time. And maybe in other words, we can say that it must be sorted in non-decreasing order. Non-decreasing order. So before applying this greedy activity selection algorithms, we have to uh, sort the uh, activities in terms of their finishing time. Either it will be monotonically increasing order, and both are same, both are same. You can say non-decreasing order or maybe monotonically increasing order. So monotonically increasing, I hope it is clear to everyone. It is mathematical term related to function. Now look at the algorithm. Look at the algorithm, how it is working. So let me erase this one. Now look at here. Very first step, n length of s. So here you can write length of s or maybe length of f. So length of s is not going to give a difference, because it will give the number of values here, number of activities. So it will be 11. And now a is a set. Initially it is going to contain the very first activity. Why we are going to have very first activity? Because in the very beginning no one is executing, and it can be any activity. Suppose that you are having a1, a2, a3 and a4, let's till a11, and the activity which is at the number 8, or activity a8 is having least finishing time, then after sorting it will come at the first position. So rather than having the a1 here, it will be a8. So it is something like this. But fortunately here you can say the activities a1, a2, a3, a4 till a11 are arranged there, monotonically increasing order of their finishing time. So a1 is the activity which is having least finishing time, in fact minimum finishing time among all these activities. So a1 is scheduled, and then here I is equal to, it is not I, it is 1. I is equal to 1, and then for m is equal to 2 to n. M is varying from here 2 to, let's here, 11. 11, 2 to n. And then what we have to check, do if Sm is greater than or equal to Fi. So I is 1, indicating the first activity. So F1 is the finishing time of first activity, which is scheduled already, and Sm we have to check for 2. So you can see finishing time of first activity is 4, and start on next activity m is equal to 2. Its starting time is 3. You can see 3 is not greater than 4, so we cannot schedule it. Just increase the value of m, so it will move here. Now check whether 0 is greater than or equal to 4, because Fi is indicating the 4. No, it is not greater, so just move here. And now check Sm is indicating the 5 and Fi indicating the 4. Now 5 is greater than 4, then what we have to do in the set, we have to include the activity A5 also. We have to, sorry, A4. A4. We have to include the activity A4, and then I is equal to M. So what will be the value of I now? It will become 4. Now what will be value of Fi? It is 7. Value of Fi is now 7. Value of Fi, initially it was 4. After completing it, it is 7. Now look at, for m is equal to 5, Sm3. So here 3 is greater than or equal to 7. No, so you cannot schedule this activity. We have scheduled this one. You cannot schedule this activity. We can, let's put the cross mark. We cannot schedule. Now look at A6. Compare with finishing time of A4. I mean F4. It is greater. No, it cannot be scheduled. Now check next activity. It cannot be scheduled because 6 is smaller than 7. Now look at here, A8. You can schedule it. You can schedule it. So here next activity, A8 will come. And now we have to change the value of I. So I will become now here 8. I will become 8. Now check this 11 with the next activity and so on. So you will find here A8 and A2 cannot be scheduled, and then we have to schedule A12. So after completing this whole algorithm, you will be able to find out the set of activities which can be compatible, and it can be executed in the lecture hall. It can be completed in the lecture hall. So this is about iterative approach. And of course, if activities are in the sorted order, then from the algorithm you can see it will take some order of n time to complete. If you have any doubt till now, you can ask. Otherwise, let me move on the next approach. So students, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
this is another very good algorithm for finding the uh, set of compatible activities with the help of recursive approach. So guys, here in this one, in iterative approach, only two things are required to pass: start time, I mean set of start time, and set of finishing time of the activities, S and F. Now let's talk about recursive approach. There are 4 parameters are required: starting time, finishing time, and this is indicating the first activity, and this one is indicating the last activity. Now check that here in the previous algorithm, we were by default we were selecting the first activity, I mean scheduling the first activity. But here, we are not going to do like this. We are not going to do like this. Then what will be the problem? If we are going to schedule the first activity, then where, from which activity it will be compared? From where it will be compared? We cannot compare. Then what we have to do? We have to do some assumption here. We have to do some assumption here. So here, let's A1 to A11, these are the activities, and we have to assume two more activities which are not going to hamper the selection of these activities, and that will be maybe here A naught, and here it will be A12. It will be A12. Now focus here. It is little bit tricky. Suppose that this is our timeline starting from 0, and finishing time, you can see it will be 14. It will be 14. Now look at here. If assumed activities A naught and A12, A naught and A12, if A naught is finishing before this time A0, if A naught is finishing before A0, then it is not a problem for selecting the activities A1 to 11. So finishing time for A0 will be 0. Similarly, if A12 is going to begin, if A12 is going to begin after this point, then we are not having any problem, because it is not going to interrupt this interval. It is not going to interrupt this interval, and our objective is to find the set of activities from A1 to A11 which are compatible to execute in this common hall, lecture hall, in this lecture hall. So what we have to assume here, finishing time of F12 is maybe not finishing time, starting time of A12, maybe it is indicated with S12. S12 is something infinity, tending to infinity, so it will begin after 14, so it is also not going to affect. And what is the benefit of these two assumptions? It will help us to select, I mean to check the compatibility of these activities, especially for very first activity and last activity. So here, if we are assuming that activities are A1 to AN, let's discuss it in very generic way. If activities are A1 to AN, then what we have to do? We have to take the assumption to use the incorporate the other two activities A naught and AN plus 1. And of course, you will be having the starting time and finishing time for these activities which are given A1 to AN. And for these two activities, here it is for A naught, we are bothering about the finishing time, and for AN plus 1, we are bothering about its starting time. Its starting time. So starting time is something tending to infinity, and its finishing time is something 0. So that means when we are going to start very first activity, so we can see that A naught is finished. So for applying this algorithm, if we are having activities A1 to AN, then when we are going to call this recursive activity selector algorithm, then what we have to do? Recursive activity selector, we have to call as F and something 0, and here it will be n plus 1. It will be n plus 1. So this is the basic assumption in this algorithm. Now let's talk about the working of this algorithm. If you have any doubt related to assumption, you can ask. Maybe if you will be having any doubt, it will be clear, don't worry. So here mi plus 1. So as I have already indicated that you have to pass S, F, and then here 0 and n plus 1. So n plus 1 here 0 indicates the A0, and n plus 1, that means A12. So you have to rather than passing from I, that is 1 to 11, it will be 0 to 12. Now look at here, value of m, I plus 1. So here m is equal to 1. Now m is less than j. So 1 is less than, what is the value of j? It is 12. Yes, it is true. And now Sm is less than Fi. So what is Sm? Sm is nothing but it is S1. S1. So that means this one. And what is the value of I initially? It is 0. It is 0. Now Sm is less than Fi, and we have assumed already I equal to 0, F0 is 0. So here Sm is less than Fi. So Sm is 1. Sm is 1 less than Fi 0. No, condition not true. Condition not true. So that means it will not execute. Now look at here. Check whether m is less than or equal to j. Yes, we have checked already here. Now then in that case, what we have to do? Then return am and recursive select activity selector sfij. So am is, you have seen already 1. So activity a1 is selected. Now we are going to call this function again. So here s, f, and one correction here, it will be m. It will be m. It is not I. It is m. Right? It is I. It is not I. It is m. So what we have to pass? Value of m is 1, and then value of j is 12. Value of j is 12. Now look at here. Now m will be I plus 1. I is 1 now. Now it will become 2. Now check that whether m is less than or equal to less than j or not. So this one is already done. Now check 2 is less than or equal to 12. It is true. Now Sm. So Sm, m is 2. M is 2. So Sm is 3. Sm is 3. And the value of I is 1. So we have to check that Sm is less than Fi or not. So Sm is less than Fi or not. Sm. So Sm, value of Sm is 3, and it is less than Fi. Fi is 4. Condition is true. That means there is a class, and what we have to do, we have to increase the value of m. Now you cannot schedule, because scheduling is being done here. In the iterative approach, condition was different, but here condition is different. So you'll move to the next activity, that is 3, and you'll check again with the help of I and m. Then you'll find that this value is Sm is again less than Fi. Condition true, and then we'll go for m is equal to m plus 1, that is it will move on 4. It will move on 4. Now check that here the value of I is, what is the value of I? The activity is scheduled. So here, of course, this is going to be true. M is less than J, and SM is less than FI. So FI is 4 and SM is 5. You know, SM is 5. So here 5 is less than 4. You can see this condition is not true. And if any one of these condition is not being true, then it will not execute, will move to the step number 4. So you will see that AM value of M is 4. So A4 will be included, it will be scheduled, and this function will be called again. So what will be the value this time? SF, and here it is 4 and 12. Will repeat again and again till the condition is being true, and in the end A12, I mean A11, this activity will be scheduled. So here after scheduling this one, you can check the conditions and all. Next activity will be A8. Yes, next activity will be this one, A8, and then after that A11 will be scheduled. And termination criteria after scheduling the A11, what we have to do, we have to check with the A12, and A12 finishing time is already given. A12 finishing time is already given. So finishing time, starting time is given, and it will going to fail the condition because infinity cannot be less than the finishing time of the last activity, that is 14. So this condition will get failed. Now you'll see that it is going to value of M is going to be greater than J, because after increasing M one by one, after some time M will become 12, and 12 cannot be less than 12. So this condition will fail and it will return 5, null activity. So that means union 5, and it will give the set of compatible activities A1, A4, A8 and A11. So these are the set of activities, and this is recursive approach. You all are aware recursive with the recursive approach. So maybe you have implemented the factorial program with the help of recursion, and also it is very obvious. And once again, condition is same for this one also. Activities must be sorted in the monotonically increasing order of its finishing time. Now, once again, if we are having the activities in the sorted order, then it will take order of n time. It will take order of n time. And if activities are not in sorted order, so maybe for sorting the activities, we have to take this much time, order of n log n, which is any sorting algorithm, maybe quick sort or merge sort, you can think for sorting the algorithm. If you are going to apply some different algorithms which are taking higher computation time, maybe something order of n square, then it can be more also. But why will we will go for that if we are having some better algorithm for sorting the activities? So for sorting the activities, time is required, that is order of n log n, and for computing the set of compatible activities, that is order of n. I'll discuss in the time complexity part in more detail. Now, whatever we have done here, let's show with the help of, let's have a look with the help of diagram. So is it visible? So guys,
Yes, sir.
you can see these are the set of activities A1 to A11, and initially we have included A naught here, and maybe it is not visible in the below side. A12 is also there. A12 is also there to consider the boundary, and its starting time of A12 is something, infinity. So you can see here, these are the indicating the timeline. I mean here, starting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on till here. Like this. Now, when we are encountering the very first activity, so we are finding that, because we are not bothering about to select this one, it is just for just included here for boundary condition. Now we have encountered A1, and we can check that it is going to begin from 1. In the table you can see it is going to begin from 1. So no other activity is scheduled in the lecture hall. No other activity is scheduled. So we can schedule A1, and it will finish at A4. Now the activities which are arriving, I mean going to begin before the finishing time of A4 cannot be scheduled. So you can see A2, it cannot be scheduled. Similarly, starting time of A3, it cannot be scheduled because it is going to begin before, finishing time of A1. Now look at here, A A4, activity A4, its starting time is A5, which is, after finishing time of A1. So after scheduling the A1, A4 can be scheduled. Now A5 starting time is here. It is going to begin before finishing time of A4, cannot be scheduled. Similarly, A6 cannot be scheduled. A7 cannot be scheduled. And look at here, A8, it is going to begin after finishing time of A4. So A8 can be scheduled. So you can see A1, A4, and A8 are scheduled, and so on. In the end, you can see A1, A4, A8, and A11 we can schedule. And this is based on the recursive activity selector, I mean recursive approach. So how we are going to call the recursive function after scheduling the activities, you can see in the diagram. Now, time complexity. So for sorting the activities in monotonically increasing order of its finishing time, it will take order of n log n time. And finding the subset of compatible activities, it will take order of n. Now think about, if someone is asking that, suppose that activities are not in the sorted order, and what we have to do, we have to find out the maximum, possible compatible activities. Then what will be its time complexity? So if we are going to find out the time complexity in this scenario, so it will be something like order of n plus order of n log n. and you can see this is the dominating term. So overall, whether activities are sorted in their finishing time with respect to their finishing time or not, it will take order of n log n time, order of n log n time, when we are going to find out these set of compatible activities with the help of greedy approach, with the help of greedy approach, with the help of greedy approach. So this is all about for activity selection problem with the help of by using the greedy approach, and we have discussed two algorithms, iterative and recursive, and this problem can be solved with the help of dynamic programming also, with the help of programming also dynamic programming also, but its time complexity is quite high. It is something order of n cube, and maybe we will discuss this, I mean solution of this activity selection problem with the help of dynamic approach in some other lecture. So this is all about activity selection problem. So thank you very much. If you